Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Retirement Compass, the show that helps you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and joining me in the studio are two members from Stonebridge Wealth Systems. We have the co-founder, Tim Kulhanek, and partner, Jeremy Gove. We've got a great show for you today. The title of this episode is Mission Possible, Retiring from the Federal Government. So attention, all federal employees, if either you yourself or someone you love currently works for the federal government or you have in the past, you're not going to want to miss today's important conversation about all the benefits that are available to you and what you need to know right now. Tim, Jeremy, this is going to be a jam-packed conversation. I'm excited that you wanted to speak specifically to federal employees. What motivated this show today?
I think the main thing is we see more and more, like even in our Lincoln office, there's a lot of immigration employees, and as they come in and have questions about FERS, civil service, TSP, I'm like, we should just get this out to the masses because there's actually quite a few federal employees in our market. And so we sat down and made sure that we put together a great show, jam-packed with information that they can utilize immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Jeremy, I know you're meeting with folks constantly too, and you have different offices located throughout the region. Yep. What are you seeing in your area?
Yeah, it's the same thing that Tim's talking about. There's a lot of employees, state employees, which we've done shows on that, and then the federal employees, so it's very busy.
Yes, well clearly there's a lot to know. There's a lot of unique benefits, so I'm really glad that we're going to be having this specific conversation today. And as we set this up for you, we have some research to share with you. According to the 2024 annual report, there are over 4 million participants with a balance in the Federal Thrift Savings Retirement Plan, and approximately 1 million of those have a Roth balance. Very interesting. I know we'll touch on that later. Also, approximately 98.4% of current federal employees are covered by the Federal Employment Retirement System, or FERS as we refer to it, while the remaining 1.6% are covered by the FERS system's predecessor, which is the Civil Service Retirement System, or CSRS. Lots of mouthfuls to get out today, right? But there's also been a recent surge in retirement applications across the federal workforce. We know a lot of people have been retiring early. Over 317,000 federal workers have been leaving the government in 2025 and beyond. So there's all these transitions that are underway, and I guess one of the biggest questions that folks have who this applies to is, how do I make sure I'm adequately prepared and maximize the benefits that are available to me? So how do you help folks navigate through those questions?
Yeah, I think it's important to start with what the basics are and understand what somebody is eligible for example. So my FERS and my civil service. So the basics would be this: if you were hired at 1984 or later, you're probably under FERS, Federal Employee Retirement System. If you were hired before that, you're probably under the civil service. Now, or sometimes we call it just the acronym CSRS. Now, I want to point out there's only 44,000 currently active civil service covered employees still working for the federal government. So when we're talking about 4 million participants in the TSP, and there's like 2 million, I think, active employees for the federal government, very, very few, small percentage, that 1.6%, not many covered under civil service. There was a big change for those civil service folks because they're not covered by Social Security. FERS is, and then the Social Security Fairness Act was passed in December, I think, of 24, that we can talk about as the show goes on. But if you're under FERS, you have a different benefit from civil service. It's less lucrative, but you still get Social Security. Whereas if you work for the federal government your whole life and you were covered under civil service, you never actually paid into Social Security. So those folks that come in, I've got a client who, she worked for the courts. She doesn't have any Social Security, but she got a nice, pension through civil service, but there's no Social Security supplement. And then the other difference is with the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan. It's kind of like the 401k, if you will. It's a defined contribution plan.
Of the federal government.
Of the federal government. And so if you're under FERS, you get a matching contribution, which we'll talk about. And if you're in the civil service, it was just you put everything in.
So those are the outlines of the major retirement programs. But beyond that, Jeremy, we have to look at the terms like the health benefits that folks receive, life insurance, and any other ancillary benefit programs, right?
Yeah, so I think you would start with, how are you eligible? With those programs, you've got eligibility is based off your age and the years of service. So those are the two things that they're using to calculate that. Standard retirement requires reaching a minimum age of retirement, and I think we have a chart for that we can pull up, and it's based off of the year you were born. And so the MRA that is mentioned, your MRA is, you can see the MRA minimum age, again, it's based off the year you were born. So if you were born in, let's say 1969, your minimum retirement age is 56 and 10 months. And so you can kind of see how that works. But from there, there's just 3 different levels of retirement. You can retire immediately, early, or you can retire deferred.
Got it.
And there's different criteria that in a one-on-one we can get into. It's honestly, there's a lot of tentacles with federal retirement. I mean, you'd have to go through reams and reams and binders of information to really know what it specifically applies to you. This is kind of like federal retirement 101 is this version.
Yeah, right.
Because immediate, early, and deferred, depending on, again, your age, how long you've been with the government as far as your years of credited service, which you would be able to see, they'd have to tell you that, and the reason why you're leaving the government, it can dictate whether or not you continue to be eligible for some of those programs that you just mentioned, which would be like the Federal Employees Health Benefits, or FEHB. Then they've got FEGLI, F-E-G-L-I, which is Federal Employees Life Insurance. There's the long-term care plan for the federal government. And then there's like the FSA, and there's several different benefits that you may be able to continue after retirement. And then there's a supplement that can be kind of a bridge between your retirement age, if you retire at, for example, 57, and when you're first eligible for Social Security. So a lot of different nuances within this whole structure, but this is at least a high-level overview of, okay, this is what I might be eligible for.
Right. I was going to say, there's only so much we can talk about in this show in 30 minutes, in generalities. Really, the best way, if this applies to someone, is going to be for them to come in and sit down with you and the team and really look at what this means for them, because there's a lot of nuances, to your point.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and Jeremy, as we wrap up this first segment, obviously there's the retirement benefit computation, but then I know we need to talk about too, as part of the show, because we're seeing this happen as well, the implications of going ahead and retiring early. This is something else that folks need help navigating.
Yeah, so the basic, again, it kind of, there's, as Tim mentioned, there's several different components on how they calculate that, right? So if we're retiring early, basically the way that you're looking at it is, we actually have an example that we can pull up on the screen, but it's the years of service times the benefit factor, and then they take that times your 3-year average salary, the highest 3-year average salary. So in our example, we have John. John, his 3-year average salary was $90,000, and he's retiring at age 65. So he's retiring after age 62. That's the minimum age for him based off of his age. So he had 20 years of service, and he'll receive a benefit multiplier of 1.1% because he'd worked, or he's retiring after the age of 62, his MRA. So the standard retirement multiplier, if he were to retire before age 62 or less, or with less than 20 years of service, it'd be 1% instead of 1.1. So we see the multiplier in this example is 1.1%, and then he had 30 years of service. His average salary was $90,000. So the annual pension he'll receive immediately is $29,700. And if you break that down on a monthly basis, it's $2,475.
Okay, so while our audience is kind of taking that in, Tim, what other piece of information would you like to leave them with as we wrap up this first part of the discussion?
I think I would just say that, rules of thumb and general guidance is great. And I know that you can go to different workshops, whether you work for the state of Nebraska, the federal government, and they talk about basic retirement planning topics, Medicare, Social Security, federal retirement, state retirement. And that's great, but the question I'd have for you is, how different is your unique set of circumstances and financial situation than the 2.2 million other federal employees who are trying to navigate their retirement? Probably pretty different. And I think a lot of parents and grandparents will kind of appreciate my approach here with this, but there's a book that we read to our kids called Just in Case You Ever Wonder. And it's a great book. It's hard to get through the book without tearing up. It's one of those. And what it talks about is how, long ago God made a decision to make you, and he made you very unique. There's no one with your smile, with your ears, your nose, your mouth, or your laugh. The reality is we're all different. No two people have ever been made with the exact same fingerprint. And so, at Stonebridge, we think you're special too, and we think that you should have a retirement plan that is actually customized to your unique situation because you aren't like anyone else. And when you come in our office, our goal is going to be treat you like you're not like anyone else. You're not a number. You mean something to us. You matter. And when you meet with one of our experienced advisors, when you call the number at the bottom of your screen, you're going to get that written financial plan complimentary. And we're going to look whether you're working for the federal government or anywhere else and make sure that we're navigating you, we're holding the light to guide you down the path between where you stand today and the retirement that you deserve. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. Clearly a lot to know, a lot to unpack. And so if this is resonating with you, if this applies to either you or someone you love, know that you don't have to go it alone. The team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems are here to help and support you, but you do need to reach out. So we invite you to schedule your complimentary written financial plan today. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how they can help and serve you. 866-256-7778 is the number to call to schedule yours. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We've got a lot more important information to cover for you today. When we come back, we're going to start off by talking about early reduction and what that could mean for you right after this.
There's no shortage of opinions about annuities. Some people love them, others hate them. But here's what matters. The right annuity in the right situation can solve very specific retirement challenges. Whether it's guaranteed income, market protection, or legacy planning, different annuities are built to serve different purposes. The problem is, too many people own annuities that no longer match their goals, or worse, they never did. Some have high fees, others come with outdated features, and too often, people buy them without understanding what they're getting. If you've been holding on to an annuity for years, or if you're not sure exactly what you have or how it works, now is the time to take a second look. Our complimentary annuity review can help you understand what you own, what it's doing for you, and whether something better is available in today's market. Refinance your annuity today and make sure it's working for you, not against you.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass. I'm Kristin Oakley here with both Tim and Jeremy from Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and we're so glad you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, today's episode is geared specifically towards those who have either worked for the federal government in the past or who are currently working as federal employees. This is going to be an important conversation if that's true for you or for someone you love. We were just talking during the break. There's so much to know. It's easy to get very confused, right? I mean, and this is why I'm so glad that folks have you here in this region to help them successfully navigate through all these ins and outs. We mentioned earlier, so many folks are opting for leaving and retiring early from the federal government. That has implications, so we need to talk about those.
Yeah, so if you take your early retirement, the ramifications are different depending on your age and years of service. So the minimum retirement age that we showed on that chart earlier, we can see that based off of the year you were born, that's your minimum retirement age. So if I retire earlier than that, which is, according to the Office of Personnel Management, the early retirement benefit is available in certain involuntary separation cases and in cases of voluntary separation during a major reorganization or reduction in workforce. So, so early retirement benefit is available, but to be eligible for that, there's two criteria that you just have to meet. So the one way that you could do that is you reach age 50 and have 20 years of service. That's the first way that you could do that, or you could have had 25 years of service. So those are the two ways that you could actually qualify for that. But in any case, under the FERS, to receive the annuity benefit, you have to have at least 5 years of service.
Okay.
So those are, but it's complicated. So again, every situation is going to be different, but that's kind of a simple outline, a high-level view of it.
Right. Yeah, not easy, right,
No.
to understand fully. There's a lot that goes into it.
I was like, I don't know.
No, for sure. There's a lot to know. But I'm curious, the most recent activity, as I said earlier in the show, we've had over 317,000 federal employees leaving the workforce since 2025. So does this qualify as involuntary separation? What's going on with this recent surge?
Yeah, I did some digging on that, and it's probably a little bit of both, right? And in any case, your agency, if you're a federal employee, is going to be required to let you know what this order is under, whether it's a VERA, V-E-R-A, which is a Voluntary Early Retirement Authority, which is obviously voluntary, or if it's an actual RIF, like this is a reduction in force, we're cutting your job, this is a mandatory type of activity. And that's going to tell you, it's kind of one of those, if A, then B, if B, then C, you're going to have kind of a decision tree to go down. If I'm covered under a VERA, well, then this is the path I need to go down to see what I'm eligible for. If this is a RIF, well, okay, now it's a different set of criteria that are going to determine what I'm eligible for. Do I get immediate annuity, so to speak, under FERS? If I get an immediate annuity, I'm probably going to be able to keep my FEHB. If I don't, then I don't get to keep my FEHB, which is your health insurance, which is a big, very critical, obviously. Like a lot of times you talk about, on the show we did about, layoffs and job loss the other day. The reality is, it's not just your salary, right? It's the benefits that come with it that you've got to understand how that works.
No, for sure. And we also need to understand what happens from the retirement saving aspect for federal employees. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about the thrift savings plan. Because when the FERS system replaced CSRS, it became less benefit rich, but matching contributions became available. And that's why we call it the 401k for federal employees, right? So give us an overview of the TSP and what folks need to understand about saving for retirement in this plan.
Yeah, it's defined contribution. So when we shifted in like the 1970s and early 80s from defined benefit, where you defined, your employer defined how much you were going to get if you worked at your place of employment for a certain amount of time, like the civil service or the FERS calculation. Technically, FERS is a version or a variety of a defined benefit plan. Now we're talking about TSP, okay? So we shifted gears. Now we're talking about what you put in. You have a salary reduction. It's more like a 401k. It was established in 1986. It's administered by the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. And essentially, you've got different components. You've got your deferral, and then you've got what your agency will put on your behalf. There's a 1% agency service automatic contribution that's going to go in if you're covered under FERS. Civil service didn't get this, okay? Civil service, it was all what you put in. FERS gets the match. Matching contributions are on the first 5%. It's dollar for dollar on the first 3, 50% on the next 2. So if I put in 5%, I get 4% in match. That's free money.
Right.
So you better get that.
Yeah, you don't want to leave that on the table.
And then they give the 1% automatic, so it's basically dollar for dollar. If I put 5% in, I'm going to get 5% back, okay? Because of the 1% plus the matching formula. And so that's really, I think, the critical step here is you've got to understand that I don't want to leave money on the table. I don't want to be dripping nickels.
Right.
But if I don't understand how that works, or I don't understand how the matching formula works, because this matching formula, it's per pay period. So if somebody maxed out their 401k in, let's say, like June,
right,
they're not going to they'll miss out on half the match. And that's a critical mistake. So sometimes people are like, oh, I've got other income coming in. I don't need this. I'm going to just shove that in there because I want as much money in the market as I can for as long as possible. That would actually be a potential fatal error, so to speak, because you'd miss out on half of that. You'd only get 2.5 instead of the 5, basically.
Right. No, that's important to know. Well, real quick, tie it together for us since we started, talking about early reduction too. For folks that leave working for the federal government, what should they do with their TSP? What does that look like?
Here's what I would tell people is, when I think of the TSP, I think of like a 401k. And a 401k is great if you're in the accumulation phase because you can just set it and forget it. You start chucking money into the plan. And it doesn't matter as much what the market does because you've got a paycheck coming in and you're not reliant on those dollars. Once you get into retirement, the game totally changes. There's a whole new set of risks. All of a sudden you have to worry about sequence of returns risk. I have a closer proximity to needing this money. What if I have to take money out when the market's down? What are my options to protect my resources? And while the TSP, which we'll get in a little bit in the next segment, has different options, I kind of like to give the example is it's the difference between going shopping at like a Scheels in Lincoln or to an outlet mall, but only one store is open. If I go to the Nike store or the Adidas store and I want to buy some tennis shoes, I have one brand I can pick from. I can buy Nike or I can buy Adidas. If I go into Scheels, I can buy Nike, Adidas, On, the Clouds, like anything I want. New Balance, they've got it. And so it's by shifting, in my opinion, more flexibility, by shifting from a 401k or the TSP into an IRA, you open up all the aisles and all of a sudden you have a lot more flexibility in what you can do and you can actually customize your plan to your unique financial situation. That's why I'd encourage folks out there that are watching, if this is you, if you're covered by the TSP and you're like, you know what, I need to know more about what I have as far as options. What if I end up in a situation where I'm no longer employed and I don't work as long as I thought? We've talked on other shows where people think they're going to work till 65 or 66, but the average retirement age is actually closer to 62 in America. What do I do for those 4 years I wasn't planning on? We can help you design a plan to deal with that. Give a call to the number at the bottom of the screen. One of our experienced advisors will be looking forward to meeting with you soon.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. That number to call is 866-256-7778. Or again, if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Tim and Jeremy are going to discuss the 3 do's and don'ts when it comes to your thrift savings plan and what you need to know to make the most of your federal retirement resources. Stay with us.
You know, if you think about the average American consumer, we don't talk about financial topics very often. And so we spend a lot of time at Stonebridge doing educational seminars and different things that are free of charge. If you're not educated in a topic, how do you make educated decisions? When you're working with a client, you're sitting down with them, they're a little stressed out, but after you go through the process and you really take time to educate them on not only what we're doing for them, but why we're doing it, that really gives them peace of mind, and you can see the weight just kind of drops. And when they leave, I hear all the time,
I really should have done this years ago. But sometimes there's a fear that somebody might try to sell us something. If the things that I can provide, if you don't want, don't need, or can't use those, I've got some good news for you. We're not going to sell them to you. We are fulfilling our fiduciary duty of putting their interests ahead of our own.
If you own an annuity or are thinking about one, you've probably heard a lot of conflicting information. The truth, there are many types of annuities, each designed to solve different problems. Some provide guaranteed income, others protect against market losses. But not every annuity is created equal. If you're unsure whether your annuity is doing its job, it may be time for a second opinion. Refinance your annuity today with a complimentary annuity review.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass and our very special discussion today focusing on federal employees past and present. And before the break, we had just started unpacking the thrift savings plan. And now we're going to share with you the 3 do's and don'ts when it comes to utilizing your thrift savings plan, otherwise known as the TSP. So Jeremy, what is the first do or don't?
the first one we've already kind of discussed, so I'll be really brief with it. It's just making sure you're getting the full match. If you're an active participant, you're putting money in. As Tim mentioned, if you're putting in 5%, in essence, you should be getting an additional 5% match.
Yeah.
So that's the easy one.
Okay. Now, we know, though, that there is also a massive retirement savings gap, for folks typically. So how do folks really optimize if the thrift savings plan has been the primary way they've been saving for their retirement? What's the do or don't with that?
Yeah, making sure, again, like I talked earlier, this kind of has 2 parts, that you're consistent, okay? That if you're putting money in, don't just like randomly start and stop your contributions, put them in evenly throughout the year, and make sure that you, since it's a per pay period matching formula, which kind of segues, so making sure you're consistent, because it's per pay period, which segues into part 2, if you're going to max out the TSP, going into 2026, we're getting $1,000 extra that you could put in to a defined contribution plan. So 2025 was $23,500. 2026 is going to be $24,500. So do the math, work with your HR representative, making sure, or OPM, or whoever you need to talk to make sure that that's split evenly throughout the pay periods throughout the year. But if you're going to max it out, don't forget to tell them, since we have this savings gap, hey, I need to update this, make sure it's maxed, not to last year's number, but to this year's updated number of $24,500 for 2026.
Okay, so we've covered the first 2 of the 3 do's and don'ts. What's the third?
So the third one is it's talking about the investment options. And so I'll try to be brief with this. And to Tim's point, the TSP doesn't have a lot of investment options, like most 401ks, right?
It's limited.
It's very limited. So there's 5 individual funds. Okay, so you have the guaranteed, that's G. So a lot of employees are going to be familiar with that. They have G, F, C, S, and I. And I'll just go through those really quick. So guaranteed, The fixed income, which would be more like a bond portfolio or other things like that. The C stands for common stock, so a common stock fund. The S, getting the tongue twister going here, the
Right.
S is the small company stock fund, and then I is the international stock fund. And so, like we mentioned, with most 401ks, you have limited investment options. It's the same thing here. And so you don't get to compare a small cap stock fund to another small cap stock fund. It's just a small
Right.
company stock fund.
So it's interesting because obviously the TSP is serving an important, role for folks in saving for their retirement. But then when that day comes where you're leaving or retiring from federal government, the key is leaving it there is probably not the best course of action because of for all these reasons you've stated. So how do you help people transition their TSP into a more comprehensive, holistic financial plan to cover all aspects of their retirement?
Yeah, I think that's why we started the show talking about FERS and civil service is regardless of what plan you're covered under, do you have Social Security? Were you covered by that? Did you pay in? What are you eligible for? Are you receiving the maximum amount that you're truly eligible for? What's your health insurance situation? It's not any one thing. This is a puzzle, and the good news is Jeremy, myself, and our team of advisors, we've solved the puzzle before. We know where the pieces go. So when people come in, like we're very, very well equipped to help them with this. But we also want to have it be a good experience and have them be confident so they can spend with confidence in retirement. If you folks out there remember back in the day when you were going through the lunch line, at school, in elementary school, was there a 5-star waiter with a towel draped over his arm that looked like this fella that I created online? He's probably real, right? Is that what you got when you got to the front of the lunch line? The answer is
No.
You didn't at your school?
I did not.
No, you didn't. Here's what you got. You got a tray with a limited number of compartments. Looks something like this. And then the
that
lunch
brings back
lady
memories.
slaps that fake corn and that cardboard made pizza onto your tray and says, all right, move along, You're just excited you got chocolate milk. And I don't even know if those are real pieces of fruit or whatever was on there, right? It illustrates the difference between the TSP and working with someone who's like your own private fiduciary, right? Someone that has a moral, legal, and ethical obligation to put your interests ahead of their own can give you that true white glove service. At Stonebridge Wealth Systems, that's exactly what we do for our clients each and every day in, day out. We're committed to it. We have a duty of loyalty and a duty of care, and we would like to extend that to you. And we give you the opportunity and invite you to call the number at the bottom of your screen and visit with one of our experienced advisors today.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. I appreciate your wealth of knowledge and expertise. We hope you found this to be helpful and valuable. 866-256-7778 is the number to call to get started and receive your very own complimentary written financial plan. Thanks so much for watching The Retirement Compass. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time.